Hey, it's Dan from EUJuicers.com. In this video, I'm going to do an interesting comparison, something that I've been interested in for a while, and that's taking a look at a cheap copycat juicer. A few years ago, there were just a few models of vertical juicers on the market. The quality brands like Omega, Sana, Huram, Kuvings came a little later. All of these models coming out of South Korea. But we've noticed here, just in the past couple of years, a lot of what I call copycat juicers coming out. They're all coming from China, where they can be assembled really cheaply. The cost of labor is low, and the cost of materials is low because maybe they're using less quality materials, not sure. But it's something I've wondered, how can you copy something like this for such a low price, and how's it going to perform? So what I want to do is take a look at this guy here, and I'm going to compare it with a Sana 808 in the US. This is the Omega VSJ 843, the Q model. That's this square kind of coffee maker look. In my opinion, it's the best vertical out there. Maybe even more than the wide mouths, like the big Kuvings guys. Just because with the wide mouths, you're forcing so much produce in, you got to make sure the motor can handle it all at once. With verticals, it's always a good idea to feed things slowly. It'll give you the best yield, reduce the chance of jams, it'll treat the motor better. So, first of all, let's see. First of all, is this guy made from China? I can tell you this is made in Korea. You can always look at the bottom, and yep, made in PRC, People's Republic of China. And first impressions are the box. And I'd show you the box, but I don't want to get in trouble with any lawyers about brands, so I'm going to kind of hide that. But I can tell you on the box, I'm looking at it right now, it lists a couple of the big selling features, like maybe on something like this or a new vertical you might see, big mouth or 43 RPM, new system, twin-bladed auger, high-quality induction motor, direct drive, things like that. This one says auger. Okay, it's got an auger, that's good. Vertical system, okay, great, that's an innovation, I guess. Easy, okay, and healthy. And I also see vitamin spelled with an E at the end, so I can tell you just by looking at the manual, there's some challenging English. As a former English teacher for 10 years, that always gets to me. But before I disassemble, I want to say, how do you know the difference in quality? What are some things to look at? First one would be warranty. What's the warranty on these guys? This guy is 2 years. That's by law, here where we are, every product has to have a 2-year warranty. The one here is going to be 10 years motor, 5 years parts on this 808 from Sana. And another important thing, how do you support that warranty? Let's say I'm using this guy and hey, it's juicing pretty well, and after a couple of months the motor breaks or one of these little plastic pieces snaps. With one of these guys, you'd order the spare part. You call us at EU Juicer, we keep the spare parts in, or you ship it in, it gets fixed. It's under warranty, it's taken care of. A product like this, they mass produce, one batch, ship them out. They don't make spare parts. It's just a cash grab real fast. So you're not going to get spare parts. Maybe you'll get a replacement. Maybe you'll go through a lot of hoops. Or maybe you'll say, you know what, it was so cheap, it's like a disposable model. I'll just buy a new one. Which brings up the whole question of the environmental aspect. If you're going to be filling landfills with these guys, because they're breaking every 6 months, what impact is that going to have on the environment? Filling it up with these plastics, which I can tell you, just by looking at it, it's clear it's not going to be BPA free. The plastics here are definitely BPA free. This clearly is not. Let me take a look at these. Let's start comparing these. First thing I want to do, any difference here? Not really. Like I said, what they do in these Chinese factories, and don't think I'm just ripping on China. iPhones come from China. They're assembled in Foxconn, one of the most high-tech assembly plants there is. Although, consider what parts you're going in. You've got Samsung processors actually going into iPhones, and coming from Korea, you've got parts sourced from around the world. These guys, all the parts, everything's coming in the cheapest way possible so they can hit that price point. There's no marketing involved. They're piggybacking on other companies' research and development. They're copying things, and you can see. just looking at the design, you can see right offhand some of these things that are the same. These juice flaps, the overall design. They tried to pretty this guy up with a little piece of pressed aluminum, but it's hollow under there. It's clearly decorative. And I can tell you overall, before I look at these up close, the sauna here is super solid. And you can just tell the way it's constructed. There's no gaps in the molds. There's these fine little vents. This has in the back some big cheap looking hole for a vent that things could get in. Smooth corners, quality construction. It weighs, weighs about twice as much. Something you can't see would be the motor. This thing's got a super high quality, high torque motor, which is what you need. You don't need horsepower, you need torque, that twisting power, because you're twisting, you're cutting, you're chewing things. We'll see when we do the carrots. But let's take a look. Yeah, these guys look the same. Feeding tube's about the same. One thing's kind of funny, they copied the label in the back. They've got 3 or 4 safety points on a silver with some red highlights. They both come with pushers. Yeah, the pushers look about the same. Take off these juicing assemblies. Let's take a look at the juicing bowl. Again, yeah, really thin. Check out this gasket here. Notice they copied. Amazing how much of a copy it is, even down to the gasket. But this one, you can see here, it's not a perfect circle. It's all over the place. It's like it's been cut, by, my nephew or something. Getting this piece back in is a pain. In fact, it's such a pain I'll do it later. They both have juice flaps. Take a look at the difference in size on these pulp outlets. The sauna's a lot bigger. I'd say probably twice as much in terms of volume can go through there. Might cause a problem with jamming later, we'll see. But again, just the construction, it feels flimsy. It's held on with tiny little screws. It's really light. And like I said, remember, parts in here are experiencing a lot of pressure. They've got to be strong. Take a look at the augers. Nice copy. Omega and Sauna, they revolutionized vertical juicing a couple years back with these twin-bladed augers because they go at half the speed. They run at 43 RPM. Notice here it's a little smaller, but it's twin-bladed. I notice a lot of flash lines too. That means this was 2 pieces just molded together. The manual doesn't say what it's made of. These guys are super strong, GE Ultim, really solid material. Notice these little teeth here that this doesn't have. What that's going to do is turn this cleaning blade assembly using a tiny gear, something I didn't mention to you before. That's an old first generation feature. And that's a little flimsy too. We'll see when I juice. That's a place where the pulp can sneak out and get into your juice. So it's quite possible that this guy's going to have pulpier juice. We'll see. Besides that, let's look at the juicing screens. They both have cleaning blades. Again, this was a revolutionary feature when these guys came out. It's been copied here. Look how much thinner this is. I can flex it. I don't want to bend it too much because I'm afraid it's going to snap. This guy is much more solid. Again, BPA free. Oh, take a look at that. PC, polycarbonate. That's our dead giveaway. It's not BPA free. And just the construction. Again, this is more solid. There's a little more surface area on this juicing screen here. And also the way it's held in, if you see inside, there's just the clipping system and all these plastic pieces. There's so much plastic coming into contact with the juice on this guy. It's kind of crazy. A lot of flash lines on here, molding, obviously molding joints. Like, it was definitely made fast, cheap, one run, and that's it. So I'm gonna assemble these guys, and I've got a kilo of carrots, and see how it goes. So I'm ready to start juicing. I've got a kilo of carrots. Actually, I weighed them out, 1.011, both of these. I just had to shuffle some around. So we'll get an accurate look. And I need to put these juice containers and pulp containers. This one's kind of interesting. It just sort of fits flush. The sauna has a much bigger pulp container. And again, BPA free, and a juice container of, it'll hold just over a liter. And it's nice because it's got a handle, it's a little pitcher, it's got gradations there. One thing I do want to bring up, you know, sounds like I'm really ragging on this guy, like I'm really insulting this juicer, but if it's the only way, if it gets you something like this into slow juicing, you know, if you can't afford a quality juicer and this will get you by for a little while, you know, maybe that's the way to go. Definitely juicing is much better than drinking soft drinks and even those store-bought juices that have been pasteurized and pretty much reduced to water and sugar. So again, any way that you can get into juicing, do it. But let's see how they go. Let me start with this guy here. And again, I do want to point out, verticals, this is always the biggest challenge, is carrots, beets, root vegetables. At home, I use my horizontal. It's much better designed for that. Verticals can do a lot. They're really flexible and versatile, but this could prove to be a challenge. And one thing to remember is with carrots, feed them slowly. Don't force them. Don't be pushing that pusher in. And because you could cause a backup, you could cause a clog, you can reduce your yield. Maybe even just slowly feed it or even break them into smaller pieces. And what I'm looking for when I do this, let's see how the motors react. The motor in the sauna here I know is designed, if it gets stressed, if there's too much, it'll stop and then you just reverse for a second. With this guy, I think it's using a different type of motor. It may just slow down, it may jam, we'll see. Also, let's listen to the motors real quick. Here's the sauna. And then here's this guy. You can tell there's a big difference in technology there. All right, I'm going to start with this guy. Uh-huh. Notice already, we know how this handles stress. It slows down. Notice I'm feeding these carrots one at a time. It's the way to go with a vertical. Oh, did you see that? The blades stopped. So that gear, something happened there. Shut that off so you can hear me a little better. The blades actually stopped rotating. So something jammed into that gear there, which we may see as pulp in the juice later. Looks like the wiping blades have kind of given up. Oh, speak too soon. So it seems the wiping's kind of an optional feature when it wants to do it. Okay, last carrot. Okay, so that's this guy. A couple of observations I can tell you. First of all, this pulp container is a bit small. It's just so narrow. It looks like it was designed by a designer to look good with this, but maybe not be so functional. Second, it never jammed, but it slowed down a lot, and the wiping blades were only running maybe half the time. Again, that gear in there. And lastly, one thing we can't show you on film is the distinct electrical smell I'm getting. There's a little vent right here, and it's just sort of shooting a yummy smell of burnt electric. Again, I don't know if that bodes well for the future of this, but again, if it's a disposable juicer, well, why not, I guess. All right, let's do the sauna and see how this guy goes. I will say, looks like it got a good amount of juice. It made juice. That's what it's supposed to do. It separated the fiber from the juice. So in that sense, you know, good job. All right, they both took about the same amount of time. What I want to do is strain the juices, see how much pulp's in there. I also want to check, let me just compare. I'm going to grab a handful of pulp from each. See if I can just give it sort of a moisture feel. It's kind of wet. There's a little, I don't know if you can see, there's juice dripping out still. So I could still juice a bit more with my hands. How about this one? These 808s, VSJ series, are known for really dry pulp. I can still get a bit out of this guy too. It's definitely drier, fluffier here. Not a ton of difference. All right. Yep, I got liters on both sides. See how much pulp there is here. Kind of an odd thing to hold, you know. It's a fairly wide mesh, so it won't catch all the pulp. There's, wow, there's quite a bit in there actually. And some still stuck in there. That's actually a whole lot. Almost like that would be a smoothie if I didn't strain that. And you know, I usually don't strain my carrot juice at home. Again, coming out of horizontal. I like a bit of pulp, but if I want a smoothie, I'll use a blender. And it looks like maybe 380 milliliters of juice after the pulp's removed. Let's take a look here. Okay, wow. Okay, there's some pulp at the end. Take a look at the difference. I mean, you can see there's a lot of pulp there. Just a bit here. And how about the yield? Like I said, 380 over here. I'd say I got about 5, a little bit more. Let's say 510, 520. So definitely a higher yield, for sure, out of the sauna. All right, so definitely a huge difference with pulp. Let me see if I can pour them into these bottles here without causing a mess. I'm really good at missing bottles. I want to taste it too. Yeah, you can kind of see the difference. Okay, I could fill this a tiny bit more, but you can see there's a lot more left on the saunas. Kind of bitter, but that's more likely due to the carrots themselves, not the juicing. And a bit pulpy still. Just far smoother. Again, these 808s, VSJs, they're kind of known in the industry for making the smoothest juice, especially out of carrots and things. Last thing I want to do is, let's just kind of take it apart real quick. Let's see how these things look. I'm not going to clean it. We've got videos if you want to see one of these guys being cleaned. They're pretty easy to clean. So, just want to see how much pulp is left. And there's carrot juice all over the motor base. Again, doesn't bode well for the life of the machine. If it gets under that gasket, it's going to get into the motor, short it out. Or if it gets under these hooks here. So again, some of the cost cutting. Yeah, it's dripping out right now. There's, I don't know if you can see, there's juice coming out of it through here. Let's just see how much pulp is still in the auger. Fair amount. And still quite a bit in there. How about under here? Yeah, there's some packed in down there. And here, yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to clean it. You'd rinse this off, scrub it with a brush. Just set some of these aside. Let's take a look at the sauna. Again, I love how these things pop on and off. There's no hooks holding it on. And how does this guy look? You know what? Let me grab the other one. It's similar. A little less on this guy. But check out these juicing bowls. Definitely more there, and this guy is still dripping juice where this one isn't. And the screens. Yeah, notice the inside of this one is much cleaner. This one has a lot of carrots sort of impacted or stuck in there. So it's going to be harder to clean. And there's just, it's that gear system, you know, it's pulling the pulp in with the juice. It's old technology. And in here, yeah, just like before, they both have some carrots in there. That'll rinse right out. And that should do it. So I guess I satisfied my curiosity. What does a cheap juicer get you? It gets you juice. You know, like I said, if that's all you can afford, it'll hold you over for a while. Save up for a quality machine. It's better to jump in there, start juicing, especially with a slow juicer versus a high speed like a centrifugal. Otherwise, what did we see? Definitely cheaper quality materials. You get what you pay for. This is definitely solid. Like I said, it's got a warranty. It's got 10 years and 5 years, 10 years motor, 5 years parts. And or is it the other way around? Well, 10 and 5. And the important thing with something like this is if something goes wrong, you can call. You can call us, or you can send it in to us. It'll get fixed. If it's under warranty, it gets fixed for free. And there's always parts being made. We have a huge stockpile of parts for all our juicers. Something like this, there is no warehouse with parts. They were all assembled, shipped off, and done. All right, well, I guess that'll do it. I'm going to go clean up and drink some juice, some pulpier juice and some super smooth juice. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like more information, I actually wrote an article that goes into more detail on what to look for in cheap juicers. So we'll put the link down here in above the comments there. Otherwise, check out our website. That's www.eujuicers.com. I'm Dan, and I'll see you next time. Don't you just hate when this happens? Oh no! Hey, it's Dan from EUJuicers.com. In this video, I'm going to do an interesting comparison, something that I've been interested in for a while, and that's taking a look at a cheap copycat juicer. A few years ago, there were just a few models of vertical juicers on the market. The quality brands like Omega, Sana, Huram, Kuvings came a little later. All of these models coming out of South Korea. But we've noticed here, just in the past couple of years, a lot of what I call copycat juicers coming out. They're all coming from China, where they can be assembled really cheaply. The cost of labor is low, and the cost of materials is low because maybe they're using less quality materials, not sure. But it's something I've wondered, how can you copy something like this for such a low price, and how's it going to perform? So what I want to do is take a look at this guy here, and I'm going to compare it with a Sana 808 in the US. This is the Omega VSJ 843, the Q model. That's this square kind of coffee maker look. In my opinion, it's the best vertical out there. Maybe even more than the wide mouths, like the big Kuvings guys. Just because with the wide mouths, you're forcing so much produce in, you got to make sure the motor can handle it all at once. With verticals, it's always a good idea to feed things slowly. It'll give you the best yield, reduce the chance of jams, it'll treat the motor better. So, first of all, let's see. First of all, is this guy made from China? I can tell you this is made in Korea. You can always look at the bottom, and yep, made in PRC, People's Republic of China. And first impressions are the box. And I'd show you the box, but I don't want to get in trouble with any lawyers about brands, so I'm going to kind of hide that. But I can tell you on the box, I'm looking at it right now, it lists a couple of the big selling features, like maybe on something like this or a new vertical you might see, big mouth or